In the heart of a bustling city, where the cacophony of life often drowned out individual stories, lived a man named Samuel Ellis. To the world, Samuel was just another face in the crowd, but to those who knew him, he was a testament to the indomitable human spirit. Samuel was born with a rare visual impairment that rendered him completely blind from birth. His parents, both musicians, had worried about the challenges he would face, yet they vowed that his disability would never define him. From the moment his tiny fingers first brushed against the keys of a piano, it was clear that music was not just a passion, it was his voice, his vision, his way of painting the world around him. By the age of 10, Samuel could play complex compositions after hearing them just once. He never needed sheet music. The notes existed within him, flowing effortlessly from his mind to his fingers. Despite his extraordinary gift, the world outside his home was not always kind. Schools were hesitant to accommodate his needs, and some teachers doubted his potential. But Samuel remained undeterred. His love for music, an unshakable foundation in an unforgiving world. One evening, as he played at a small community event, he caught the attention of a woman who stood in the back of the room, listening intently. Elena Vasquez was a renowned violinist, once celebrated as a virtuoso, but her career had been derailed by a devastating injury to her left hand. Though she had recovered enough to play, she could no longer perform at the level she once had. She had stopped playing publicly altogether, consumed by frustration and grief over what she had lost. Yet, as she listened to Samuel, she felt something stir deep within her, something she hadn't felt in years. His music spoke to her pain, her longing, her unspoken fears. When he finished his performance, she approached him, introducing herself in a voice tinged with both admiration and curiosity. "You don't play like someone who learns music," she said. "You play like someone who feels it. How do you do that?" Samuel smiled. "It's the only way I know." Elena hesitated, then took a deep breath. "I want to play with you," she admitted, "if you're willing." Samuel, sensing the raw emotion behind her words, nodded. "Then let's play." Their rehearsals began in the small music hall where Samuel often practiced. At first, it was a struggle. Elena was used to playing with orchestras, following conductors, and written scores. Samuel, on the other hand, played purely by instinct. He had never needed to coordinate with another musician in such an intimate way. They had no common language except for the music itself. They started with simple pieces, learning each other's rhythms, understanding each other's cues. Over time, their connection deepened. Elena adjusted her playing style, rediscovering a freedom she had long forgotten. Samuel, for the first time in his life, experienced what it was like to truly share music with another person. It was a dialogue without words, an unspoken symphony between two souls. As the weeks passed, word of their collaboration spread. A local music critic wrote about their rehearsals, calling them a duet unlike any other. Soon, they were invited to perform at the city's annual musical festival, a prestigious event attended by some of the most influential figures in the industry. For Elena, it was a chance to step back into the spotlight. For Samuel, it was an opportunity to prove that his blindness was not a limitation, but a different way of experiencing the world. For both, it was a leap of faith. The night of the festival arrived. The grand concert hall was packed, the audience a sea of expectant faces. As Samuel and Elena took the stage, a hush fell over the crowd. Elena could feel her heart pounding. It had been years since she had played before an audience, and the familiar pang of doubt crept into her mind. But then she glanced at Samuel. His expression was calm, serene. He sat before the grand piano, his fingers lightly resting on the keys, waiting. In that moment, she realized he had never seen the faces of an audience. He had played not for their approval, not for their applause, but because music was a part of him. That realization steadied her. She lifted her violin and nodded. Samuel struck the first chord. It was deep, resonant, like the opening line of a story. Elena followed, her violin weaving around the notes like a dancer in perfect harmony. The music built, swelling with emotion. It spoke of struggle, of resilience, of triumph. It was their story, told in a language that needed no translation. As they played, the audience sat spellbound. Some closed their eyes, letting the music wash over them. Others watched, mesmerized by the connection between the two musicians. When the final note lingered in the air, there was a moment of profound silence, then an explosion of applause. People rose to their feet, clapping, cheering, some even wiping away tears. Samuel and Elena turned toward each other. No words were needed. They had done what they set out to do. They had shared something real, something unforgettable. In the days that followed, their performance became the talk of the city. Offers poured in, interviews, invitations to play at prestigious venues, even a recording contract. But for Samuel and Elena, the true reward was knowing that they had created something meaningful. They had shown the world that music was not about perfection, but about passion. That even in the face of adversity, beauty could emerge. They continued to play together, their bond growing stronger with each performance. Over time, they also dedicated themselves to mentoring young musicians, particularly those with disabilities. They wanted to show them what was possible, to inspire them to find their voices. One day, an opportunity arose that neither had anticipated, an invitation to perform at an international music festival where they would share their story and their music with the world. It was a testament to how far they had come and to how powerful their message had become. Years later, as Samuel sat at his piano reflecting on the journey that had brought him here, he realized something profound. He had spent much of his life proving what he could do despite his blindness. But standing on stage with Elena, he had understood something even greater. His blindness was not a challenge to overcome. It was a unique way of experiencing the world, a gift that allowed him to connect to music in a way few others could. Their story became more than just a performance. It had become a testament of the power of resilience, of collaboration, of believing in something greater than oneself. And so, the unseen symphony played on, resonating in the hearts of those who dared to listen.